What's up, warrior? Welcome back to Daily Wisdom. And I wonder today, have you ever wanted to sell more in your business? If that is something that you want, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do and probably what you're not doing as well too. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, subscribe to this for this plus a lot of cool tips and share this as well. Maybe tag a teammate on this too. Now I'll tell you, in my business, I've had this recurring issue, if I could be transparent with you guys. And I love to innovate. I don't know about you. And I get bored very easily. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I always want things to be different. Especially in a new season of my business and my life, is I'll typically come out with some type of presentation. There's a new pitch, there's a new promo, there's a new sale, there's a new something. I get super excited about it. And then I start to think to myself this, I'm like, oh, it's because I'm not doing this new thing, which is why I'm not getting more sales. So let me go back in the lab and let me go make this better. And let's go create this new tool. The presentation can be better. The pitch can be better. It's because it's not good enough, which is why I'm not getting more sales. And now I've realized after enough eye rolls from my wife that that is not the reason why I'm not selling more. And that's not the reason why you're not selling more. The reason why we're not all selling more isn't because our story's bad. It isn't because your product's bad. It isn't because your business is bad. It isn't because your tools are bad. The reality is, and this is what Ed Milet says, is the reality is the reason we're not selling more is we're not telling the same story to more people. The same story to more people. And what's up, San Diego? Great to have you. And I want us all to realize this and count this yourself. How many times have you shared your story in this last week in your business? Your transformation story with your product, your business story, your testimonial with your opportunity, your pitch, your promo. How many times have you actually shared it? And I'd be willing to bet that if you're not making enough sales, there's a direct correlation towards how many times you've actually shared this story. And one of the key secrets that I'm challenged with all the time is that I get bored. And not only do I get bored with saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, but the reality is this, is that I'd rather use a justification that I need something better to sell, a better story to sell. I'd rather use that as a cop-out excuse than actually looking at the reality, which is, James, you just haven't shared the story to enough people. That's the reality of it. Now, I love studying things that are successful. You take a look at anybody that is amazing at what they do, and you know what they do? They stuck to the same thing, but they just shared it over and over and over and over again. Visions and dreams are a dime a dozen, but execution consistently over the course of time is the secret X factor. Put a 1 in the comments if this resonates with you at all. Because every day I have to overcome this challenge, and I have to overcome this temptation. I have to keep the main thing. In our training, our weekly training we do for the Warrior Movement, I taught on the power of crafting your story. If you know how to craft a story, you just have a before, a then, and a now. Your transformation with your product, your transformation with your business, your transformation, other people's transformation. And you know what happens is many times it works. You share your story once and you get a sale. You share your story once, like, wow, it was so good. But so many times we stop at that first fruit and we think, and we lie to ourselves. And we say, well, it's got to be better now. It only worked once, so maybe I need a different story now. No, warrior. The reality is you already have a good enough story, or you have good enough stories around you. The key question every single day to ask, the money-making question is, how do I find ways to share that same story with more and more people? More and more people. Now, you may or may not be a believer, But I believe the Bible has a story that is very successful. There's over 2 billion people in the world that believe that story. But you know how they became big? It wasn't because they changed the story. The story's been the same for 2,000 plus years. It was because if you read through history, the people that shared that story just shared it over and over and over and over and over again. Read through the book of Acts. The book of Acts is just a bunch of, they're sharing the same story. They call it the gospel, right? So in your business, what is your gospel? In your business, what is your message? In your business, what is your vision, your goal, your dream, your transformation, your story? And today, how can you share it more? And perhaps some of us, we stop sharing it because we get frustrated, don't we? For some of us, we get tired, we grow weary, we grow anxious because maybe you have been sharing the story. You shared it with 5 people, 5 said no. You shared it with 10, 10 said no. You shared it with 20, and only 1 said yes. And you start to think, man, is it worth it sharing my story? It's not getting there fast enough. I got big goals, I got big dreams. I look at the time on the clock. How is this even possible? I just want to remind us and encourage us today that all it takes is for your story to be shared one more time to land on the right person to change everything. Let me share with you a story of someone whose life was completely changed, and many others were changed as well too. You see, there was a person that was struggling, and this person was sent out to Northern California on a mission from Southern California. He had an amazing story with his business. He had a great opportunity. He was expanding his team. And he was sent on basically a one ticket home type of thing, one ticket there. And if the only way he came back is if he succeeded in this mission. This person was struggling financially. This person had to live out of his car at times. But this person kept on sowing the seed, was up in Northern California, kept on sharing his business opportunity. And whatever that it took, met with people in restaurants, met with people at coffee shops, drove all around Northern California, sharing the story to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. Was about to give up. That night, what happened was he slept in his car. The place that he had to stay at, it fell out on him, and he could not afford another night being at a hotel. So he ended up just sleeping in his car. The next morning, he had a meeting, and a meeting with somebody that he met. And even though that he was going through this financial stress, he showed up powerfully. He showed up expectantly. He met up with someone on a softball field. Met this gentleman. So he was dressed up in a nice suit. He met this person that was in a cutoff t-shirt, that was sweating, that he didn't know of, but he heard of this person. He was being introduced by him by one of his leaders in Northern California. And through that conversation, a person got started in his team that would eventually change the trajectory of where that business went. Eventually, because of that one connection, not only did this person that shared that story end up making a 6-figure income for many, many years to come, but the entire landscape of Northern California for that business was transformed for forever. And if it weren't for that person to actually share the story one more time, if it weren't for that person to not give up, if it weren't for that person to not choose to just, instead of going back home, sleep in the car that night and then show up one more time, then a person named James Zheng would never have been brought into the wonderful world of network marketing. Because that day, the person in the softball field that met with Elvis, my mentor, was me. And I was about to say no to this opportunity. But I met with him and I said, if I could be like Elvis, who I didn't know the situation of, I could just tell that he was going somewhere, then maybe I could do something like this. And if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here right now, giving you and imparting you wisdom that can help you too. So my question to you is this: what if your next story or your current story shared one more time could lead you to your next person that could transform entire generations? What if, and this is not to toot my own horn, there are way people better than I, but what if your next person was me? And I was in your business. Who here would love a James Zheng in your business? Put a 2 in the comments. But it took Elvis sharing the same story one more time. So today, how do you find ways to share your same story again? How do you find a way to not give up? How do you find a way to keep on going? Because if you expect it, then in due time, the seed will always land on good ground. So if that encouraged you, if it did, take on the challenge today. How do you share that story again? You already have a good enough story. Just keep on telling it. Focus on the main thing, which is expanding how many people hear it, and then dive and double down in there. All right. So if you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube, please do. Put this plus a lot of other cool things to help you in your business and in your life. If you're interested in what we're doing in the Warrior Movement, by the way, talk to a fellow warrior or fill in the work with me form that's in the bio or in the caption, wherever that it is. We're doing some amazing work. I thoroughly believe that if we help you to unleash your inner warrior in your businesses, then we can transform generations to come. And I hope this was helpful. If it was, we'll see you on the next one. Other than that,